Welcome to LOCKBEARD PHENOMENA number 107. What are the traits of Bigfoot? It is Saturday, September 23rd, 2023. So I see we got, we're still not back on YouTube. Hopefully that'll be fixed eventually, but we are on Rumble. We got about 12 people watching, it looks like. Let me bring up the thumbnail. So which of these images is closer to what Bigfoot looks like? So the descriptions seem to be there seems to be a little bit of conflict in the descriptions. Now, some people try to write that off and say that it just means that Bigfoot looks differently. Different ones look differently, which is possible. Sure. Well, it's certain. It's got to be certain that there are some differences between them. But I think a large part of the reason why the descriptions are different is because some people are absolutely crappy at their descriptions. They don't actually remember very well what they saw. Their mind filled in the blanks, so on and so forth. Some people are just lying, of course. Fortunately, the Bigfoot stories out there, they're just loaded with tons of people that are just liars. And we should call them out every time they show up. And I mean, we've got to be careful not to accuse people that we're not certain of that they lied. But there are plenty of liars out there, so we got to watch out for that. So we got to look at the credible witnesses that we can be pretty reasonably sure of that they're credible and what their descriptions of Bigfoot are. So these two images here, neither one of them are meant to be Bigfoot. One of them is meant to be, I think, which one is that meant to be? Pre-Australopithecine. No, I meant that one's supposed to be a Homo naledi. Well, at any rate, you see it's got a nose that's more in the chimp range, and the amount of hair on its head and face are more like a chimpanzee. It appears to have a larger cranium than a chimpanzee, which is true of Naledi. So you got that brow ridge going and all that. You still got some brow ridge in the picture on the right, which looks a lot more human, right? Dude has a full beard, has a hooded nose. That picture is meant to be Homo erectus, but it seems like some people's description of Bigfoot are similar to what we see right there. So for those that are out there that are in the chat, if you've seen a Sasquatch pretty well, which one does it look like to you? And for those who haven't seen a Sasquatch, but you've listened to countless descriptions like we all have, and you're someone who has, been sniffing out which ones are the bullshitters, and you got a reason, you got some kind of certainty of what you think Sasquatch actually looks like. So which one of these two images is closer? Let's go over to the chat. Donald says, "What's up?" And Angela says, "Hi. How you doing?" Pretty good, Donald. Hope you're also just fighting my internet. And he's in a bunch. Y'all just talking amongst yourselves, looks like. For those that saw me, I was asking some questions along these lines of Scott over at Squatch America's live stream on Wednesday, because I think this is an interesting question. What are the actual traits? If you let me bring back up the picture here. Well, will it let me? I don't think it's going to let me. Well, anyway, hold on a second. Let me let's get some chimpanzee pictures. How about that? Whoops. I don't know why. Okay, I see what's going on. My share screen shut off. There we go. So you see how the snout sticks out on a chimpanzee. There's been a few people claim Bigfoot has that, and there's been people that say no, it has a flat face like a human. I tend to lean towards the people that seem more credible, or the ones that are giving the more human-like description. So that's why I lean so much, and plus just other stuff. But the feet, I mean, the footprints are human. They just are. So they're nowhere near a chimpanzee. So you see that prominent brow ridge. Make sure everything's showing. There we go. Let me see here. Panties in a bunch in the community. Mess up. Been getting a few panties in the bunch, Donald says. In the community. Uncle Bones is here. Welcome. Donald says the one I had a face to face. I couldn't make out the features of the face. It was too dark. But the body reminds me of Chris Benoit, the WWF wrestler. Oh man. Cindy Finn's here. Welcome. Donald Fuller says the one I saw was within human size. I'd say no more than 6 feet, but stocky. So I guess it was too dark for you to know for sure. Which, you know, how do you know for sure if it's a young individual or not? 6 feet's just a normal human size. So is it possible that you saw a wild dude in the woods? I mean, if it was too dark for you to tell for sure, is that within the realm of possibility? Cindy says, sorry for airing my laundry last week. Angela says, sometimes we just need to vent. Thank you for understanding. Donald says, still feral human, I'm thinking. Yeah. Well, you know me, I think that Sasquatch is a type of human. Hopefully one of these days I can give a more detailed, a better presentation, a real good presentation showing a lot of the things that what I say when I talk about anthropology, I have certain hypotheses about things that I feel like mainstream anthropology is lying about, or just being morons, or they're not getting the funding to say certain things. They're being PC about certain things. I definitely think they're being overly PC about certain things, because a lot of these names for these different groups of hominids, that they're giving them species names. Here's the thing I think they're afraid to say. I think we have some people today that they're calling Homo sapiens are actually some of these groups. That like the majority of their DNA is, you know, Heidelbergensis, or even Erectus, or Antecessor, or I think they're afraid to say, you know, maybe some of them know, maybe some of them don't know, but the ones that know, I think, are probably very afraid to say this, because it will make them sound like they're saying certain people are less evolved, blah blah blah. You know, and less evolved is kind of, you know, it doesn't make any sense, because all life branches from the same point. So everything has spent the same amount of time evolving. So that whole concept, when people say that, what they should be careful to specify is that they're talking about a certain trait that has developed. So, like bipedalism, you know, so some of these hominid precursors were better adapted to bipedalism than others, and apparently bipedalism was a valuable trait, and it survived. The ones that were had less bipedal adaptation were less likely to survive and didn't pass on their DNA as successfully, and eventually those genetic lines died out. But everything after the full development of bipedalism, I think, is fair game as far as different groups of people that exist today. Now, I don't know that there's any Naledi left. Naledi is an example of something interesting, where the brain size actually, I mean, because they're very recent, and the brain size went down. But I think part of what happened there was because up until Naledi, the precursors to Naledi, everything before, for quite some time, had been focused on meat, eating meat, hunting meat, and that's where that allowed that big brain to develop. And Naledi, apparently, based on the tooth wear, was heavily eating plants. So maybe there were a population of individuals that kind of got away from eating meat, like found a easy source of certain plant foods and kind of focused on that. And the result was they're partially because of nutrition. The brain is going to shrink. That happened in humans when humans stopped eating a fully carnivorous diet and started farming. Human brain size went down. Part of it would be that. The other part is if they were doing this for a long time, Homo naledi would have selectively bred themselves to have a smaller brain because you don't need a very big brain if you're just gathering nuts and fruits. You don't. If you're trying to outsmart prey, that keeps you sharper. You're having to think of new ways to catch prey all the time. You don't have to think of anything to catch a freaking piece of fruit or a nut. It's just hanging there on a damn tree. So while I got naledi on my little it's on my slides. I put it on my slides, but it to me it's either a completely evolutionary dead end or it got bred out. In other words, when Homo sapiens came along and found these guys, they shag-fested them, as Donald would say, and then after a few generations, their traits were bred out in favor of the bigger brain, more carnivorous Homo sapiens. Let me see, where was I at? Where did I leave off in the chat? Cindy says, Donald, I think there is some documentation on feral people, and the majority are people with disabilities. And for centuries, if a baby wasn't born perfect, the villagers thought there was witchcraft. Donald says there is a group of feral humans in the Appalachians around the Smoky Mountains, Cindy. Now, if they're there, they most certainly are in the Green Mountain National Forest. Yeah, I wouldn't want to run across them. I think I'd feel safer running across Sasquatch than running across feral people. They're probably dangerous. So there's some. Cindy says, yes, Donald, the Appalachians was one area I was thinking of. And if people with disabilities can't talk, they are going to make guttural sounds, if any. Donald says, Shackfest 2023 is going on currently in the Whitehall area. Oh, boy. So we really need to nail down what Sasquatches actually look like, because there's so many people who are no good at giving descriptions. They're no good at making observations. You know, there's people that will see a bear standing up on its hind legs and then come back and report a freaking Sasquatch. They can't describe. They don't. You know, like I've talked about how it irritates me so much that so many people throughout my life have they would come to me or say there's a snake over there. It's a copperhead. If it's in water, they'll say it's a cottonmouth or a water moccasin, and then if it don't have a rattle, they'll call it a copperhead if it has some kind of pattern on it. Because they can't tell one pattern from the other. They certainly don't know colorations. They don't understand. And almost every single time I go to check, if I had a chance to check, I find out it is not a water moccasin. It's not a cottonmouth. It's not a copperhead. It's none of these things. And people cannot identify one snake from another. And that's my experience with the snakes. I haven't had anyone come tell me, I saw a Sasquatch over there, and then I go over there and see. I haven't had that, but look, people, their perspective gets thrown off. Maybe they get freaked out and their mind starts playing tricks on them. People are just no good at giving accurate descriptions. So it's really hard to pin down exactly what Sasquatch looks like until I actually see one. And unfortunately, I don't get deep into the woods anymore, hardly. I mean, sort of. This ain't, to me, this isn't deep woods. It probably is to some people, but uh, but um, but until I can start getting out there, and because I've never really gone out purposely trying to look for Sasquatch. I just don't, because I don't think it's going to work doing it the way people do it. The way it needs to be done in a stealthy manner is going to take some. It's going to take money. It's going to take money to do that. But so yeah, until I can make my own observations of Sasquatch, it's really hard for me to nail down for sure what their morphological traits are. As soon as I see a Sasquatch, I'm going to be able to tell you exactly what it is. Almost certainly. But right now, like, I'm having to go off of people's descriptions who I feel are able to make fairly accurate descriptions, who are giving accounts that aren't full of a bunch of crazy shit. The crazy shit, telepathic communication, which is too many syllables for these people, so they call it mind speak. Portals and cloaking and all this other crap, all the way up to what's his nuts and the aliens jumping, Bigfoot's from an alien planet, and he had to operate their portal for somehow. For some reason, they needed him to operate their portal for them. Whatever kind of damn sense that makes, but that guy had brain damage, right? So it probably makes sense. Let me get to a different. Is that better? No, maybe that. Or maybe that. Anyway. So it's hard for me to nail down exactly what the morphological characteristics of a Sasquatch is in order to identify it very well. So I'm going off of people who have a reasonable story. Two stories that I usually bring up about this is Jay Fritz's story and Satch's story. Joe Snyder, Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group, now Hominin X Inquiry channel. These are two stories where dudes just stumbled across a big hairy guy in the woods who wasn't a normal human, who was impossibly big and appeared to be engaged in hunting. And that's a pretty reasonable, plausible story. And they both describe it as a big human-looking thing that's hairy. So this immediately, if I go off of those descriptions, they say, it has a nose like a human. Well, that means it has to be descended from somewhere in the hominid line after the development of the hooded nose. Now, mainstream anthropology, I think, drops the ball on that. I think the development of the hooded nose has something to do, to some degree, like with most traits that evolve, there are often multiple driving evolutionary pressures to develop the trait. In the case of the nose on a human being, I think it's largely, again, it's going to have some other functions, other reasons that it developed the way it did, but I think the primary reason it developed the way it did was because we became semi-aquatic. And mainstream anthropology really drops the ball on this whole thing. We have numerous semi-aquatic adaptations, and they just kind of ignore them. They ignore the shit out of them. The number of adaptations we have, semi-aquatic adaptations that we have, that differentiating us from the chimps are so great. To me, if you can't call yourself an anthropologist and not notice these things. So and we talked about it before. One of the very, very early episodes of LOCKBEARD Phenomena, we talked about the aquatic ape hypothesis, although probably didn't remotely do it justice, but there it was. And as a, you know, as a potential origin story for the possibility of a mermaid-like fully aquatic human. Obviously, we never got fully aquatic, but we developed this nose. Now, I don't know how deep I want to get into all this tonight, but I'm going to hit on some of the stuff that I'll eventually I'll put together a really good presentation on it eventually. Because if we can be reasonably certain that Sasquatch has a nose like ours, and that puts it post semi-aquatic adaptation of the human line. So, they diverged off after that, which means they had a point. They had ancestors that were mostly hairless, like us. This means that this, but if I can put together enough information and prove what I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to say is the line of Sasquatch. That means that the line of Sasquatch evolved hairlessness because that was part of their lineage. That was our lineage too, and they diverged from us after evolving the hairlessness, which is part of the semi-aquatic adaptation along with nose. And once they diverged off of us, they evolved to become hairy again, which is really an easy thing to do. It's not like, because all the humans, because maybe you've heard that humans have the same number of hairs roughly as a chimpanzee. It isn't that we have less hairs, it's that our hair is extremely fine. Some of it's so fine that it's microscopic. So if you take a human and you introduce evolutionary pressure to develop that hair to be an insulating, heavier hairy coat again, you can actually cause that development very quickly. It's not like you're producing anything. You're not producing new hair follicles. You're not producing anything that's brand new to the species. It's something that we had in our evolutionary past, and it would have been very easy for the Sasquatch line to redevelop a hairy coat. But the question is pinpointing where they diverged. I think it's an important thing, because that's also going to tell us how big their brain case is if we can't tell from the reported stories. You know, most people aren't going to be able to tell. So that's going to help us pinpoint how big their brain is, and that'll help us know just how smart these things are. Let me hit the chat here. Angela says, because snakes are creepy. Angel says, I don't get close enough to make an ID. Yeah. No, that's not the ones that bugs me. The ones that bugs me is people that come and tell me that they know for a fact that that's a copperhead or a water moccasin, and they don't know shit. Like, that's you gotta know when you don't know. When someone doesn't realize that they don't know what the hell this thing is, and then they go claim that they do, now we have a problem. This is how we end up with people like Duke over there saying, oh, we got this type of Sasquatch and that type of Sasquatch and blah, blah, blah. And so either he's too stupid to realize he don't know any of that shit, or he's a liar. Yeah, I just said Duke's probably a liar. Cindy says, yes, Angel, snakes. Some snakes are good for some things, and venomous can die. Yeah, I usually let venomous go on their way as well. I coexist with all the snakes. Ran across a snake yesterday, cutting down a tree, and there's a green tree snake in there. He was he didn't seem pleased that I destroyed his home. Cindy says, Donald, I believe anything is possible and that there are distinctions that we shouldn't dismiss. Donald says, Angel, it's funny the reaction I get from just seeing a snake. It's like the fear is in our DNA. Well, it's actually, they kind of did a little bit of work trying to figure that out. And it turned out that kids that have never been told anything about snakes don't have a natural fear of snakes typically. So it's a learned fear. Angela says, Cindy, we have mostly just garter snakes here. I'll leave them alone and go the other way. Let them go one way and nest the other way. The only example I take in believing about Bigfoot is footprints taken. The only example I take in believing about Bigfoot is footprints taken. That's the only evidence that makes you believe they are real. Donald says 18 Arc 3 chat, and come on, people, join the chat. Cindy says, I've become more on the skeptical end. We promise not to bite, says Cindy. Leaning that way myself, said Donald. Donald says, make sure you hit the like button also and sub. Consider joining the channel. Thank you, Donald. Need a body to prove beyond all doubt, says Cindy. Yeah. To prove their existence, yeah. Yeah. I need to at least see one clearly myself so that I can make an assessment as to what it actually is. I mean, at this point, based on what the seemingly credible accounts are, I definitely don't think it's Gigantolopithecus. That was a ridiculous. That was one of those theories because people, every so often, people come up with some kind of new theory to make bank. They'll write a book and come up with some stupid theory that something's new, like, oh, I discovered it. It's this great discovery I made. You have freaking Noel over here. Wasn't he the one that tried to basically claim Sasquatches were autistic? Just ridiculously stupid. You had what's his nuts over there wrote Quantum Bigfoot because it made him sound like he was smart and he was using actual science, and he wasn't using science. He wasn't actually using, because I've talked about quantum. Quantum's bullshit, right? Quantum's bullshit. That's a whole nother subject. But he don't know that, and your average person don't know that. So he writes a book called Quantum Bigfoot, and a bunch of people ate it up. And it has no relation to anything in reality. People talking about the hollow hairs. Actually, the hollow hairs, somebody brought up the hollow hairs on that live stream on Wednesday. And we've talked about this, right? Polar bears have hollow hairs. And if you go look at a polar bear in a zoo when there's no snow anywhere, there's nothing white around the polar bear. And guess what? The polar bear is still white. So they're trying to claim that Sasquatch has hollow hairs that allows them to bend light around them, and then they can cloak like the predator, basically. That's not how it freaking works. So it was another stupid theory that some people come up with. You had what's his nuts over there with the psychedelic Bigfoot stuff, and it just goes on and on and on. Donald says Duke has a government insider for all his knowledge. Yeah, of course he does. Of course he does. Cindy Fences really is the same guy that has seen dead alien bodies. Cindy says, or in 50 years, will Congress admit there are Bigfoot like it took 50 years to admit UFOs are a real thing? Yeah, who knows? Who knows there? In the case of UFOs, it could just be that they have technology that they didn't tell us about, that they got from leftover technology from an ancient human civilization. I know people want to believe it's aliens, but there's a whole nother thing there. That's a whole nother subject right there. Whole nother subject right there. Which I think I've covered fairly well in the past. Why it's bullshit. It's not alien technology. But with Bigfoot though, I think they have a little bigger problem there. Because if I'm right about the Bigfoot people, that they are humans, Homo sapien humans, that means that they should have human rights. And if the government is keeping them hidden, because if they're real, the government is hiding them. I don't think anyone could actually believe that the government doesn't know they're there. You know, they have unlimited resources and technology. If there's Bigfoot out there, the government knows, and they're actively keeping it a secret from us, which means they are doing something wrong in regards to Bigfoot. And if I'm right, that Bigfoot's human and they should have human rights, that means the government is probably violating their human rights, probably using them for all kinds of horrendous experimentation. Who knows what they're doing? I mean, the government did it to us. They did it to us in the last few years. Those that got the jab, you were experimented on. You may not have realized it, and you may still not realize it, but you were experimented on. And the government did it. They totally did it. They have no problem doing these evil things. So yeah. So I think that they're not going to want to admit Bigfoot is real for as long as they can get away with it, because they're guilty of horrendous human rights abuses when it comes to Bigfoot. Cindy says, Donald, I'm not going to let it drive me batty or make a career out of it. Our world is going crazy. I care about my kids and grandkids more. Donald says, like the Zasky and Kerry Arnold narrative of the green Bigfoot. Sorry, folks, just pareidolia. Yeah, Zasky's all pareidolia. And yeah, they were trying to pass off that, the hollow hairs supposedly and greasiness of the Bigfoot. I mean, yes, when you're deep in the woods, any object will appear slightly colored like the surroundings, because a lot of the light that's bouncing back on that object is those colors, right? But it's not that pronounced of an effect, and it's certainly not Bigfoot cloaking, and it has nothing to do with the hollow hairs. So, and that's if they've never, as far as I can tell, they've never actually proven that any of the hairs taken actually belong to Sasquatch. So that's a whole nother issue there. Cindy says, I didn't mention on Facebook, but my grandson had a severe mental breakdown and used violence, and my daughter was able to get in place to get on meds, and now he is taking equine therapy. So I don't know what the nature of his mental illness is, Cindy. But what I can tell you is mental function is directly related to your physiology. If your physiology is disrupted, then you can have mental issues, all kinds of mental issues, and your physiology can be disrupted by not eating the foods that your species is designed to eat. So if you give rabbits bacon long enough, some of those rabbits are going to die. Some of those rabbits are going to go crazy. Those rabbits are going to have all kinds of health problems because rabbits aren't designed to eat bacon. Same thing for a lion. You feed lion nothing but kale and salads and stuff, that lion is going to get sick. And the same thing is true for humans. Humans are meant to eat 100% fatty meat. And there's been all kinds of people reporting when they went to a 100% fatty meat diet that they cured all kinds of diseases, including mental illnesses. So, I guess the best thing you can do if you don't feel comfortable trying to get him to eat that way, and stick to it long enough that his system gets cleared of all the toxins in the plants and whatnot, and heals the damage done to his system. Maybe you need a doctor to help you, guide you through that. And there's several doctors out there that are doctors that they have no problem telling you to eat carnivore because they know. That's Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Chafee. Talk to one of those guys. You can consult with them. And that may help his condition. Now, obviously, there are some conditions that can't be helped with that method because there's something else going on. But for a lot of people, mental health issues has to do with eating plants. Believe it or not, eating plants. I mean, talk to any vegan. Every one of them are freaking psycho. Every single one of them are batshit crazy. So yeah, just hopefully. I mean, I try to give people this information because I don't want people to be sick, and I didn't have a good response from certain Bigfooter that we're about to lose in the YouTube Bigfoot community here, and I don't know. All I can tell you is when in regards to cancer and fasting, there is tons of research on PubMed. Go look it up. Go look it up. It's all there. It's all there. Plus a basic understanding, probably a little more basic understanding of human physiology and what cancer actually is. And once you understand that stuff, you'll know that what I'm telling you is true. Almost all cancers can be cured just by fasting alone. There's going to be a few aggressive ones out there, but the fact is if your doctor has given you an expiration date, you have cancer, it's time to fire the doctors because they failed, right? Your doctors have failed. So, do you want to live or not? And so that's unfortunate. I was basically called crazy. So There's tons of research over on PubMed that proves I'm not crazy. Basic understanding of what cancer and human physiology will tell you that I'm not crazy. This is just what the fucking fact is. So I don't know. Papa Craig, he listened about carnivore and now he is doing great. So go talk to Papa Craig, about doing carnivore. Because that helps you get to that where you're fasting. So, well, we don't want to go into a bunch of that stuff, but you want to eat carnivore. If you ever do get cancer, though, what you need to do immediately is stop eating. Just stop eating. Stop feeding the cancer. You got plenty of body fat on you. You can survive for months like that, and you'll be just fine. And the cancer will not be fine because the cancer needs you to eat. That is why the cancer happened. It's because you shoving food down your throat all the time, and humans weren't meant to have food all the time. In nature, we never had food all the time. You're supposed to fast. So when you get too much food all the time, and it's bad foods, most of it, you're going to get sick, and sometimes you're going to get cancer. Think of it like this. A cactus is made to live in a very dry environment. You give a cactus too much water, and it dies. Everything is supposed to have a certain amount of everything. Angela says, Cindy, equine therapy works well for some. Cindy says, yeah, Donald and I have seen a lot of prairie dolly, and none ever looked like Bigfoot. Current shape of our civilization has me thinking we are in the end times. Cindy says, Angel, I hope it works as well, or he will need to be placed because he has injured his siblings and my daughter and his stepdad. Actually, this has been going on before his dad took off the kids. Yes, Donald, but God is in control. We know how to end. Cindy says, did you confess to be batshit crazy, Lockbeard? No. No. I am not batshit crazy, but the vegans are. The vegans are fucking nuts. Donald says, yeah, I have noticed any vegans I know are definitely Karens with a mean streak. Cindy says, vegans are nut jobs. True, Donald. Back to the subject. Oops. There we go. Cindy says, I lost another 4 pounds to 44 pounds so far. Am I sure that I'm not batshit crazy? Well, if I really am batshit crazy, would I know it? But I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy about fasting curing cancer. There's a ton of research out there on that. If you know basic human physiology and some genetics, and you know what cancer really is and how it functions and why it happens, you would know. Like, most people don't ever think about this stuff or study this stuff. They just want to go when one day they get sick and they don't really understand why they got sick, and they go to the doctor, and the doctor tells them some stuff. Their eyes glaze over and they're like, "The doctor, just give me some medicine to make it better." Except they very seldom they cure anything or get rid of the cause of something. They'll just cure the symptoms, or if it's something they have to cure, like cancer, they do have to kind of cure cancer or to kill you, right? But they only do it when they really have to, because curing stuff doesn't make them money, right? Like, if you listen to me about diet, and you have diabetes, the diabetes is going to go away. And you're not going to need doctors or medications or any kind of bullshit. If you listen to me about cancer, and the cancer goes away for free because you literally had to do nothing, like just don't eat, and your body will take care of the rest. Your autophagy will ramp up, which is autophagy is self-eating. It's where your body looks for defective cells more aggressively, and takes them apart for the resources. And cancer cells are defective cells, so you will cure cancer almost every time if you fast. So your body normally is going after cancer cells, but sometimes it gets out of control. Why? Because you're throwing gasoline on the fire every time you eat. Like you're not supposed to eat, 4 times a day, every day, your whole life. That feeds cancer. If you stick to only meat, it probably won't happen, but it still could, because there's, again, how much are you eating? How often are you eating? Your gut kind of needs a rest sometimes as well. So it's not meant to be constantly crammed full of food. So, humans might go a few days before catching more prey, and so yeah, you're sure crazy like a fox then. Peeps up in the nosebleed section are scared to join us, says Cindy. Yeah, they may be. They may be. Cindy says I eat twice a day and I can't finish what's on the plate. Yeah, that's better than most people. At least you're keeping it down to twice. Ideally, because if you go fully carnivorous, you get yourself broke of your carbohydrate addiction, and then you'll find it easier to eat just once a day. And then when you decide you want to try and do a little bit longer term fast, like maybe go 47 hours, almost 2 days, and then eat, it becomes a lot easier because your hunger levels are really, really low. And there's multiple mechanisms that play there with why your hunger levels get low. But that's natural, right? The way I could, if I were to describe how the hunger I felt my whole life until I started doing this, it compared to what the hunger is now to me. For most of my life, hunger was I was ravenously hungry, like I couldn't think about anything else. I had to eat. It's like I got to eat breakfast, I got to eat lunch and dinner, I got to have some kind of snacks in there somewhere. Especially doing in the gym, all the time. So having protein shakes and all. You just eat constantly. And but now, like, that hunger levels don't exist anymore. I don't get that hungry anymore. I feel what I think is probably normal hunger, so that I can just kind of halfway ignore it, really, until I get a chance to go get food. Angela says, Cindy, I don't know why we are friendly for the most part. Oh, the nosebleeds people. Donald says, I just had to refresh and got my first commercial on here. Are they paying ad revenue? They better be. They give me something. I didn't know anyone was actually seeing commercials. Did you really? What did you see? I don't think I've ever seen a commercial on Rumble. Huh. But yeah, they give me a few bucks here and there. It's not very much yet. It needs to go up. It's got to go up, because Jesus Christ, man. Cindy says, I know Angel, so I don't see why they don't just join in. So I don't know. Man, I just think got this stuff put together well enough to be but I can hit on a few things, like so one of the things that humans becoming hairless did was allow for sweating to become more effective. So when we're not in the water, which we were coastal marine type people. We like to be near the ocean where we could get all kinds of seafood. That's where this development occurred. A lot of this development occurred. So some of it was in freshwater, sure, but a lot of it was in saltwater. So this is where there ends up being multiple things that it appears worked together to cause humans to become more hairless. Because apparently the reduction in hair made sweating more effective. It's cooling the body. Now, and then we end up getting these sweat glands all over our body, where most animals don't have that kind of thing, because sweating isn't really effective when you got a coat of fur. So it's almost like we had to develop the hairlessness first, and then the sweat glands developed, because then they could actually do something. Like it doesn't really make sense that we would evolve sweat glands all over our body unless they could be effective, and they can only be effective if we had already evolved to be nearly hairless, so that they could work. And then this allowed us to really go inland and hunt big game. And so, and it's interesting. Sweat is basically salt water, so we like being around the salt water, being in the salt water, and then we sweat salt water. So what this means, if this line of reasoning ends up going to where it's supposed to be, this means that it's possible that Bigfoot has similar sweat glands, but underneath their hair, their body hair, heavy body hair, or their sweat glands became deactivated because they were no longer effective with all that body hair. Now, we're only ever going to really know that for sure if we get bodies or are able to observe Sasquatch far more effectively than we've been able to. But see, these are little things, interesting things, evolutionary questions that most people in the Bigfoot community aren't thinking about. Does Bigfoot have sweat glands? And most people in the Bigfoot community aren't thinking about the aquatic ape hypothesis, because how does that matter? It doesn't have anything to do with Bigfoot. And well, it does, because if Bigfoot has a human nose, and the human nose developed because of the aquatic adaptations, and it helps us really pinpoint where Bigfoot diverged off the human line. So, and then the beard. I asked a question about the beard on the Squatch America. Scott said that what he observed had a beard. So, problem with that is it's hard to figure out exactly when humans developed a long beard. And then we're also having to think about again, the observational skills of the people who saw the Bigfoots, and who's telling the truth, who's terrible at giving descriptions. A lot of people might see a chimpanzee and think it's got a beard, but it just has peach fuzz. I mean, look at that thing. You might say it has some serious sideburns going, maybe, but they haven't developed a long beard. So we need to really be able to pinpoint when humans developed a long beard and why. And I think it occurred well after the development of the hairless body. But it could have happened at the same time. And the development of long hair on the head and the long beard and their function as dreadlocks, because they would have formed naturally in the dreadlocks. You know, chimps will sit there and rake through their hair and pick ticks out, but they don't have a comb, and they're not interested in painstakingly separating every single hair every day of their lives. So I don't think that that's what humans were doing when they first developed long hair. I think long hair evolved specifically to form dreadlocks. And some people describe these Bigfoot as having dreadlocks. Satch describes the one he saw as Rasta because he said it had dreadlocks, which are natural. Any human being on the planet who just stops combing their hair, you can still wash it. Stop combing your hair, it will form dreadlocks. So I don't know. I'm trying to pinpoint where I think Bigfoot diverge off the human line. And, you know, I need more data. I need a lot more data because, I mean, one, it has to be post-bipedalism, right? Because Sasquatch is bipedal. It doesn't appear that Sasquatch uses fire. So either A, Sasquatch diverged from the human line before humans started using fire regularly, because there could have been hundreds of thousands of years there where it was a rare thing to use fire, and then before humans got to where they regularly use fire. Which it seems like a good line to draw there, somewhere in the neighborhood of 950,000 years ago would be a good point to say, okay, humans, most humans knew how to use fire. So we take that point in time and we say, okay, did Sasquatch diverge before then from humans? And is that lack of evidence of Sasquatch using fire good enough for us to say that Sasquatch diverged before them? Because if we did, then Sasquatch isn't going to be Denosophan, Neanderthals, Homo sapiens, Homo heidelbergensis, Naledi. It's probably not even going to be it's definitely not going to be Floresiensis. So it's going to be something more like Homo erectus, Homo habilis, Paranthropus boisei, like Scott says, or maybe even one of the Australopithecus species going a little bit further back there. So it could have diverged up to 3 million years ago in that case, or maybe even more. Because it's post-bipedalism. I think we lost most of our hair before 2 million years ago. Our body hair. I think we lost most of our body hair before 2 million years ago, and maybe even 3 million years ago. So this starts to narrow the window down, right? So now I got a window somewhere between 1 and 3 million years, right? Or maybe even nailed down to 1 and 2 million years. If I can get it down to that, then we're looking at almost certainly either Homo erectus or Paranthropus boisei or something like that. So let me pull the chat back up. Where did I stop at? Up here somewhere. Don't see why they don't just join. I haven't seen the commercial yet. Donald says, I think it's followers that have voiced their opinions against Lockbeard or me. It was some electrical saving something. I skipped it. Yeah, I don't blame you. An ad in the middle of a live stream? I mean, YouTube doesn't do that, do they? In a live stream? I'm starting to wonder about Rumble, man. Cindy says people want Russell Brand canceled, and Rumble says no. Yeah, they're just pissed because Russell Brand tells the truth about some shit. Angela says, I have not seen an ad on here yet. Cindy says, Donald, maybe me too, but I don't want hard feelings with anyone. But hiding is just silly and not being adults. Donald's chosen one. Donald says, Uncle Bones, I've rattled the cages, and there are a few that are upset. One is usually here. Who did you upset? I get it now. Go on Squatch Talks post on Facebook, Uncle Bones. Icon says, Halito Achaeos. Howdy, chat. What's up, Icon? No Facebook, but know whom you talking about. Eating a burrito. She likes you much. I'm not watched his drone. I will find them video yet. Oh, you haven't watched that? Yeah. Yeah, I watched it earlier today. He might be right that drones will definitely. I mean, drones will definitely probably get some footage, but the problem is it's not gonna move any ball down any field. I don't think, because people are gonna think, well, that can just be a dude in a suit down there, and the story, like it can't. You can film Sasquatch all day long with a drone, but you'll never be able to prove that it's not a guy in a suit. So, I think people should try to film them with drones, sure, but it's not going to do anything. It's not going to change anything. The only thing that's going to change anything is if somebody gets a body on a slab. So, but yeah, bring some Bigfoot footage in a drone, and hopefully people can at least show it's not CGI and metadata, blah blah blah, but you'll just never be able to, because look, someone can make them. You get a big old boy out there in a spandex suit with hair glued to it, and it's gonna look like a Sasquatch. It just is. And so, I mean, you don't need any fancy prosthetics. You just get you spandex, attach some hair all over it, and boom, you're there. It's going to look like a Sasquatch. So, watch this drone. House things, doing good, Icon, ready for winter. I'm glad it's cooling down a little bit. I was hot today though, burning up dead trees and shit. Well, I can only read 2 lines of chat at a time on my phone. Boo. What's up with that? Cindy says, Donald, if I say you don't like me, get in line with the rest of them. Angela says, you are right, Donald. She was a bit angry with you for daring to question Pat. Well, I mean, question, you know, there shouldn't be a problem with questioning people, should there? Were you being an asshole about it? Donald says, Angel, he has a post saying he will be in the woods for 30 days, not looking for Bigfoot, and will be able to determine if they are real or not. Yes, she is, Angel. What Pat does, Pat says he's going to determine if they're real or not. Icon says, still waiting for fall to get here. Low 70s, beautiful outlook until the end of the next month. We keep getting rain here lately. It's making it hard for me to burn off stuff in the woods. It's making it really hard. I need it to be dry. Dry. Angela says, hello, Donald. I honestly don't know if he can stay in the woods for 30 days. He will post up behind a liquor store. Why does everybody keep saying that? Is he confirmed to have that issue, or is that just something that people say because they don't like him, or what's going on with that? Angela says, Icon, I am in the Adirondack. Winter can show up in October here, or it could be 70. I just like to be ready. Uncle Bone says he'll run out of cigarettes. Yeah, if someone can't, like if you can't go without cigarettes, you're never going to be able to sneak up on Sasquatch in the woods to get like close-up video or close-up observations. You never will be able to. I mean, everything in that area is going to smell that shit and probably see the light, hear the lighter. Like, you won't be able to remain stealthy while you're out there smoking cigarettes. It's just not going to be able to do it. That's just one of the many reasons why most people, like the vast majority of people, will never be able to be stealthy enough in the woods to get up close observations of up close, fairly close observations of Sasquatch. Cindy says drone usage would have to be used in fall or winter. Too much canopy, you can't see shit. Yeah, he's always said that. Going back to like, I just rewatched his early, which there's nothing to watch. It's just audio. His early Squatch talks, Prime Ape Objective, like 1 through 12. And then beyond that, but he'd already said that, you know, the drones would have to be used when the canopy has the leaves have fallen, when the canopy's gone. Icon says this big old dude don't do spandex. I bet if someone paid you enough, you might. So look, put on this spandex with hair all over it, and you're going to look just like a Sasquatch. Now make sure you stretch out that spandex in the crotch there. You need to get, like, you know, if they have a good enough thermal, they might be able to tell if you ain't got proper dangle going on. So you need proper dangle going on. Pull down by you. She wants Patrick Vaughn. Who wants Patrick Vaughn back? What the hell? Patrick Vaughn, who Had 33 encounters. He's third generation tracker and saw Sasquatches getting down. Well, I'm still not clear whether he meant that he saw Sasquatches screwing or if he saw a Sasquatch giving birth. So he claims. And then also said he saw Sasquatch cloak right in front of his eyes. And he's got the equation figured out for wood knocks. Like, apparently there's an equation involved. There's some kind of mathematics going on. Yeah. 95, where Uncle Bones is at. What is it here right now? We just had a bunch of rain and stuff, so it helps cool things down a little bit faster than the forecast. So apparently it's 79 right now, which is still too hot. As far as I'm concerned, that's too hot. Needs to cool down some more. Looks like we're going to get a bunch more rain here in an hour or so. If that shit's coming at me, holy shit. The internet might turn us off. The internet might turn us off. We'll see. Yep. About to get hit in about four. Well, we'll be done by the time it hits, I think. Nope. Yeah, we might want to cut out. We might want to cut out at 7:45 because this looks like it's going to mess me up. Because sometimes like when the power flickers, it'll shut the internet off too. So here, I'll show you. Whoops. All that the purple spots there around Mounds and Winchester is heading my way. I'm in the Muskogee area. It's about to smack me, and this is going to keep on coming. It's just going to keep on coming. Whoops. Looks like I don't got it shared. What the hell happened? Oops, there we go. Somehow I get this thing unshared sometimes. I don't know why. Yep. So it looks like right now. It's coming right for me. It's coming right for me. Get back to the chat here. Filled out Patrick Vaughn back now. Geez, man, Uncle Bones. Hope you get some relief soon. He's gonna be sober lately to me. Well, how does anyone know he has a problem? Like maybe he's not drunk. Maybe that's just the way he is. Don says Lockbeard, watch his performance on Mogs the other night. He's drunk all the time. Was he? Did I? What night was he on Mogs? Was he in the chat? because it seems like you were talking about one day he was in the chat saying some stuff. That wasn't on Modes. Where was that at? That was on Coles. That was on Coles. So did he come on the screen and cause some problems? Icon says, I haven't heard that Bigfoot doesn't smoke. Well, I think that's a reasonable assumption we can make. Angela says, Donald, I missed that. My daughter called and I was talking with her. Cindy says, Donald, I don't watch Mogs anymore, so I'm glad I didn't see him. He is mad because I told him that wasn't cool. Huh? I don't watch Mogs anymore, so I'm glad I didn't see him. He is mad because I told him that wasn't cool. So I don't watch Mogs anymore for several months. Icon says, why wear spandex when I could go naked and look like Bigfoot? A mangy Bigfoot. Well, more like the bear in the great outdoors. Well, if you're hairy enough and it works. Just got to be naked in the woods. So, like, if you have loose clothing on, they'll be able to tell. That's why you'd have to use spandex unless you're perfectly comfortable running around butt-ass naked. And I don't think the thermal is going to be... It might be able to tell that you don't have thick enough fur on it, though. So, I don't know. Not very warm here. Tech Candor. Cindy fences me too, Uncle Bones. I don't really watch any live shows, maybe here and now and then, unless Lockbeard make me mad at him. I'm not trying to make anyone mad, I don't think. Apparently, I made people mad sometimes, and looks like I made people mad trying to tell Joe what he needs to know to possibly survive cancer that his doctors have told him he's doomed, apparently. Look, I've watched people die, and I've been afraid to, like, because this people act like this because they're upset because they're dying, and the people around them are upset because they're dying. And then when you come up and you tell them this, and then, you know, when I mentioned this on Facebook and it was brought up, or just like those people about the coffee enemas. Well, I'm not telling you to stick things in your butt. Okay, that's dumb. That's ridiculous. Humans were never meant to be shoving coffee up their ass. That's ridiculous. What I'm talking about is actually based on science. You can go look it up. There's all kinds of studies about fasting and cancer. If you just learn what cancer is, how it functions, because a lot of people don't really understand what cancer is. And they certainly don't have very much education in human physiology, so they don't know dick about fuck, right? They don't know. They don't know what the hell. They don't know anything. And so when someone like me comes along and tells them, say, look, you know, and they just hear that and they they don't want to listen. They think I'm being an asshole or something. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm trying to save your fucking life. I'm trying to save your fucking life. At least check on it yourself. At least try to study some of this stuff and learn what I'm trying to tell you here. This will work in most cases. Now, if you're too far gone and the doctors have done fucked you up because what do? They poison you with radiation and chemo. They poison you and the cancer and hope that the cancer dies first. Well, that's a stupid fucking approach. It's absolutely stupid. And a lot of times the cancer, the chemo and the radiation cause cancers. So you're treating a cancer, you're trying to kill a cancer with something that's a carcinogen. Yeah, that makes all kinds of fucking sense. Not. What does make sense is to work with your human physiology, the natural way that it has always killed cancer cells, and understanding why we have rampant cancer in our civilization. And once you know that, it's a real simple thing to do. Just stop eating plants, for one, ever again in your life. But right now, if you got cancer, just stop eating, period. You got to just stop eating. It will kill the shit out of most cancers because it allows your body to do what it's supposed to do. Heating up again, Central Illinois, Cindy. Angela says YouTube does occasionally on some channels run an ad during a live. Huh. That just seems ridiculous to do that, though. They shouldn't do it during a live stream. Maybe like on a rewatch, but not while you're live. That's fucks up the whole purpose of being live. Seen ads, quite a few videos. Donald says Lockbeard got a widow maker coming. Better get it in the storm shelter, Locky. I'm gonna hang out here and flip it off. See if that. Might start here. I hear the thunder. I've been hearing thunder all day though. Like I had a pretty big tree burning out there, and I tucked all the coals kind of underneath the trunk of it. That it's laying on the ground, and got the trunk heated up pretty good. Everything's soaked around here because we keep getting rain. So it took me quite a bit to get I had to get a good hot fire to dry shit out so it would burn. So I tucked the coals up underneath that log. And so hopefully some of the coals stay lit through all this goddamn rain. But so that tomorrow I can go out and get a fire going again and try to burn shit. I need it to dry the hell out though. This rain is jacking everything up. I need it to dry the hell out so I can actually get a lot of progress. Told Pat being drunk on his live wasn't cool. Well, I mean, did he do it like once? I mean, it seems like people are saying he's an alcoholic, or is he just sometimes drinking during? I mean, Joe Snyder drinks sometimes on his live stream, and you know a lot of people drink on their live streams. You know, so I just don't know why people are thinking, why people are talking as if Pat's like is an alcoholic and has a serious problem, and they don't say that about Satch, who I've seen drink plenty on his live stream. You know, so I don't know. I mean, has it been a problem? I just haven't seen it, I guess, where it has been a problem. Now, personally, I think nobody should drink ever, because why would you want to poison yourself on purpose? But whatever. You're free to do what you want. Some people want to watch someone being drunk on the live stream, though. Some people, they want to see that shit. So I don't know. But was it a problem? Did it make him say shit he shouldn't say, or what's the deal? Donald says Lockbeard, when he goes off camera, he's taking a shot or getting fresh ice to chill his whiskey. He was on Moog's panel. Oh, so Moog's had a panel. He was pissing people off. Cindy says, I was joking, Lockbeard. We have come a long way. You have grown tremendously. Thank you. Ooh, coffee enema. Yeah. Somehow I got stuck in the same category as the coffee enema people. Freaking ridiculous. So I mean, I give up. What am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to do with that? I'm trying to give someone information to survive something, and I'm told about the doctors, and they got 40 years of combined experience, blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah. Well, their 40 years of combined experience is not saving anybody's life right now. They're just telling you you're doomed. You're gonna die. And I'm telling you that as long as you're still kicking, you're alive today. You're alive today. You're alive and functioning. You got an aggressive cancer. If you stop eating today, tomorrow that cancer is going to be worse off, but you will not, because because we saw a lot of, he showed us a lot of skin on some of his Facebook posts. He's got plenty of storage. So that means that he could probably, looking at him, he could probably go 5-6 months without a bite of food and survive just fine. But the cancer can't survive that. His body will survive it. It'll live off the cancer, or it'll live off the fat. But living off the cancer also, because it's going to ramp up autophagy, which means the body starts consuming the cancer cells way more aggressively than normal. And the cancer is being starved. So because the cancer needs you to eat all the time. And if you don't eat all the time, so the cancer's starving, your body's ramping up autophagy, and your body is just fine because you have fat storage to survive not eating just fine. It's not a problem for your body not to eat for several months if you got that much body fat on you. All you need is water and some sea salt, just to keep your electrolytes, because if you drink nothing but pure water, you're going to lose some electrolytes, so you need to replace them. But beyond that, you just fast. Don't eat. The cancer will be better. You will be better tomorrow. The cancer will be starving. You're alive today, so you'll be better tomorrow, and then the next day, and you'll kill the cancer. Look up the studies on there's plenty of studies on cancer, the effect of fasting on cancer, on PubMed. Go read them. Go read the studies. Cindy says, wait a minute. Donald says, I take a lot of pain meds, and one trip to Dunkin' Donuts clears up any constipation. Oh boy. Dunkin' Donuts. Cindy says bacon and beef cause cancer and coffee does. Don't shoot the messenger. Well, if there's anything in bacon and beef that causes cancer, it's some kind of additive. Just natural bacon and beef, though, they're absolutely not cancer causing. Now, coffee is a weird thing. It's toxic. You really shouldn't drink coffee. Like I said, I thought Pat was drunk all the time. He has been, as long as I've seen him, constantly drunk. Cindy says, I don't know if he's an alcoholic, but I hope not. And booze doesn't solve anything for me, but not my business. Yeah. It just makes me feel, I feel like I got hit by a truck almost. It's just poison. I can tell it's poison. I just don't want it. Donald says, Pat thinks he's smarter than anyone, demeaning people who think Bigfoot can migrate. Yeah, sometimes he comes off a little strong in that regard. I think you've seen that I disagree about that. I think that Bigfoot could migrate just fine all the way from Florida to Washington State if they wanted to without being seen. It's almost like he thinks that there's a line of solid people across the nation going north to south somewhere, but there isn't. I've wandered, and waded down creeks and rivers and stuff and going under bridges, and people are driving up there. They're not paying attention to what's down there in the water, and it's during the daytime, or even walking along the side of you don't even have to be wading. So imagine Sasquatch traveling at night, wading in the water or walking through the woods along the rivers. Every river has a zone around it that's wooded, even going across the Great Plains. There's a bunch of rivers. They're all coming basically from the west to the east, or from northwest to southeast direction. And, some of them come across Oklahoma And every one of them is a highway for Sasquatch that people are not going to see them. You know, people think the Great Plains is nothing but grass everywhere, and there's people out there all the time looking out anyway. Oh, I can see everything. Oh, no. And especially when you got some good tall grass going, you know, if there's something crawling around in the grass, you're not going to see it. There could be mountain lions, bears, you don't know, or Sasquatch. But there's trees too along all the river corridors. There's lots of trees, so Sasquatch can move across the Great Plains just fine. And so I don't know why he's so adamant about that, but he is. So I don't know, but I mean, yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it'd be cool to actually prove the concept. Like I think I could totally I could start in the Everglades and migrate my ass on foot all the way to Washington State without anyone seeing me. Boom, not a problem. I mean, if you ever been to Florida, there's some dense ass. I guess it's a forest. It's really unusual. Florida forest is really unusual to me compared to an Oklahoma forest, but or even an Appalachian forest or Colorado. You know, these places that I've been anyway. Um, but I guess it's a forest. It's just different types of trees and stuff, but very thick. Like you're not gonna see shit in there. And so if you got Sasquatches and they're taking creeks and stuff, and they're moving at night, they can totally move from the Everglades all the way to Washington State and never be seen. Guaranteed. Angela says, Donald, that is why I stopped watching him. He knows more than the next person about Bigfoot. Cindy says, people need to ignore these morning show doctors because Roundup causes cancer and the TV studios probably have asbestos. Yeah. Well, you don't trust Roundup, that's for sure. Do not trust Roundup. That shouldn't be on the market, I don't believe. You want to kill weeds, get your sprayer, put some vinegar and some salt and some water, and that's all you need. You might have to apply a couple more times, but it'll kill stuff. Icon says, with all the migrants running and rampant in this country, Bigfoot can just take an Uber to migrate. No one would know any different. No shit. Yeah, we got millions of people flooding across the border, and yeah. Cindy says, Angel, we don't have any experts in Bigfoot. Exactly what I mean, says Angela. Angel says they, whoops. Cindy says Cindy says, Angel, they sure sound like it though. Icon says Pat makes for a great watch. Don't need HBO with him on a panel. Cindy says Icon cheap entertainment, huh? People watcher. Pat's good entertainment now. Cindy says, Icon, he probably has a lot of viewers like you. I do like him. I just can't watch him. I stopped being an enabler. Donald says, when a cougar migrates from the Dakotas unnoticed to Connecticut before getting hit by a car, a Bigfoot can go across the country the same. Absolutely. Yeah, it isn't like Solid City across over here, and then, or even across Florida. It's not like Solid City from across the north end of Florida, where Sasquatches have to walk through downtown to get out of Florida. Sasquatch could get out of Florida just fine, and probably even in the day, just by going under bridges and stuff and following creeks and rivers, going through forested areas. Donald says when a cougar migrates from the Dakotas unnoticed to Connecticut before getting... Oh, I already read that one. Icon says, Cindy, it may help if you have a couple of drinks at the same time. Perhaps. Perhaps. Let me see what the radar has to say. It's coming for me, Donald. Storm is coming for me. Shoot. Yeah, I think it grew. Yeah, the projected radar is very often very unreliable. Huh. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get it to. Stop. Pause. Yeah, I think a lot of times it does this. It wells up right before it gets to my area. Oops. And that's all projected right there. Yeah, it's gonna wash us out. It's gonna put my fire out. It's gonna put my coals out there in the woods. Yep. Gonna get washed out. Well, I guess I have to deal with that. Whoops. Didn't mean to hit stop sharing. Cindy says when a mountain lion is down the road just less than a half mile, yes, they migrate. Until you have one so close, you probably will never see one. A couple of Corona with lime, craving one. Like I said, you should have the windows open so we can see the lightning. Well, then the rain to come in, get the computer wet, get me wet. Donald says, is there a hook on the storm? That's your tornado. I don't think there is, but there could be. Glass of port. Donald, I know the storm watchers have been live streaming around you. Have they? Well, maybe we're going to get fucked up. I don't know. It sounds like a thunderstorm, though. I don't have any serious wind, I don't think. Icon says you're under a severe thunderstorm watch and flood watch. Good times. Those storms look badass on high res radar. Yep. All the Sasquatches are about to get a shower. So I don't know if we solved anything. As far as because I don't know. I don't know how to come to any true certainty of what Sasquatch is or what its traits are, at least, so I can try to figure out where in the hominid line Sasquatch comes out. I think it definitely did not split off before probably 4 million years ago. It probably did not split off our line before 4 million years ago. So it's something more recent, and probably way more recent than that. And I kind of have an idea that it might be something very recent, like somewhere around 350,000 years ago, recent. But I'm not going to go into that tonight. Cindy says we solved a lot. We know they need a body. Yeah. I don't need a body. I need to observe it myself, because I can't trust the observations of everybody else. I mean, they can only tell me so much. There are things that I will know from seeing this Sasquatch myself that most people are not really going to see. You know, they describe, well, it looked like a big guy, big hairy guy, and that's all they really know. Donald says, well, you better get hunkered down and in defense mode. You got a barn burner on its way. A barn burner. Talking about the lightning. Icon says, oh, yeah, Texas storm chasers was in your neighborhood this afternoon. Oh, they were in the Muskogee area? Muskogee County? Yeah, we just had some rain, and we got some more about to hit us, so I'm gonna refresh the radar here, see if it should be right on top of me, or getting ready to be. How did I get jacked up like that? Yeah. It should be raining here anytime. Anytime. Cindy says, or wait, I skipped one. Icon says Texas Storm Chasers has an excellent radar setup too. You should check it out. You may like it. Cool. Cindy says, yeah, LOCKBEARD, maybe you should get ready just in case. Well, I mean, I'm not going to do anything other than, I mean, the doors are closed and this is where I'll be. But the internet may go out. So if the power flickers, the internet shuts down, we're done. Chessboard says, rain is a dirty word here. What's up, Chessboard? So, but yeah, we might as well cut out before the internet does, because it probably will. It looks like it's going to be quite a bit of lightning and stuff. So at least make the power flicker probably, but I don't know. Keep in mind, like trying to figure out what physical traits of Sasquatch we can be reasonably certain of. Because that's a severely limiting factor in trying to figure out what they actually are. But from what I've heard, and from what I think about my hypotheses in regards to anthropology and you know that connects with Sasquatch, is that they're human. But yeah, chessboard sent me some flags in the email. Donald says, thanks, chessboard. Donald says, make sure the pups are safe. Oh, they're probably they're probably hiding underneath somewhere. They probably hiding from all this thunder I'm hearing right now. They're hiding. Cindy says Lockbeard should show us the pups. Well, I mean, I had them on video on some of the nighttime wandering around in the woods over here and stuff. The dogs a lot of times are with me, so they were on video on some of those, and so you can see them there. There's no way I'm gonna because I'm on the computer, so I'd have to be running around with a laptop in a storm right now. It just wouldn't work to try and film because those other videos I made with the phone, so that's how I was able to film them. Donald says, "Thank you, Lockbeard." Thank you, Donald. Chessboard says, "Cindy, venting with my videos. Good, thank you. Hope you're doing well." Night All says, "Angel." Chessboard says, "Night, Angel." Yeah, thank you all for coming. So we're gonna shut her down. You're gonna notice I'm not doing a lot of random lives anymore because I have very limited time on StreamYard because I don't have the paid version of StreamYard anymore, which gives me unlimited live streams. But I can only do so many hours per month. That's why that StreamYard thing is in the corner there, because that goes away when you got the paid version, but I ain't got the paid version anymore. So, but that limits how many hours I can do a month. So it practically brings us down to only doing the Saturday live streams. So that's just the way it's going to be for now. But so thank you all for coming. Let me double check the chat real quick. Chessboard says, "Sorry I missed you." That's all right, Chessboard. Uncle Bones says, "Good night, everyone." Thanks, Lockbeard. Thank you, Uncle Bones. And y'all have a good night.